Good evening, everyone. My name my name is Maddie Wilworth, and I am a librarian at the Manchester by the Sea Public Library. And I am so excited to have you all here for our chat with cartoonist Harry Bliss. We're so happy to be chatting with him today and talking about a whole lot of different stuff. This event is part of Manchester Reads, which is our community month-long reading festival. And the theme this year is Lighten Up at the Library. And the book that we chose to read all together was Number One is Walking, a graphic novel that was illustrated by Harry Bliss and written by Steve Martin. If you'd like to sign up for any of the other programs happening this month, I'm going to put our website in the chat for you to take a look at. We'll do some introductions in a minute between Sarah, the director of the Manchester by the Sea Public Library, and then we will ask questions from all of you guys after we've done a little bit of a chat between Harry and Sarah. If you can put your chats into the Q&A section, and I will sort of make a running list of them and coordinate them together, and then I'll ask as many of them as I can. So Sarah, how about you introduce yourself first, and then Harry, as the man of honor, you'll go next.
That sounds great. Thanks, Maddie. I am the director of the Manchester by the Sea Public Library, as Maddie said. I have been the director for 8 years, but what many of you may not realize is I have been in this library for 35 years. I do go home at night, but I have been here for 35 years. And before I became the director, I was the children's librarian for 27 years. So having someone for Manchester Reads who has work for every age group is really amazing. I mean, yes, of course I wanted to read Number One is Walking. Of course I wanted to read A Wealth of Pigeons, but also who could forget Diary of Fly? Who could forget Bailey or Diary of Spider or all the other wonderful things? We even have a story walk on the lawn of Luke on the Loose so that people can enjoy it outside. So beyond excited about this. I'm going to try and tone it down a little bit. Harry, over to you.
Wow, that's so cool. Well, I'm so grateful to be here. I was talking to you both earlier how much I love libraries, and yeah, it's funny. I forget that I had such a long career illustrating children's books. I forget about it. But anyway, thank you so much. I'm happy everybody's here. And I have poured myself a Manhattan like I had promised. I hope it's okay. I hope that's okay. Because I think books and booze, they kind of, can go together sometimes, right?
Certainly beverages are needed.
Beverages,
sure.
Right.
I have a coconut blast.
Oh, nice.
So,
little books on your book.
That's right. Whatever floats your boat. And it reminds me, we do have another wonderful library event coming up soon, which is called Happy Hour at the Library, with mocktails and only funny books being discussed in a couple of weeks. So look for that.
Cool.
We've got some great questions for you. We hope, meaning we can't wait to hear what you're going to say about it. Okay. Many of the things that we all started to notice in your work for adults was, where would you be without your dog? I mean, my gosh, dogs versus cats, we want to cover that. Do you have strong feelings about that? Both play into your work?
Yeah. My dog Junior is, at some point I'm going to bring him into the screen so you can get a look at him. He's tired. He ate a long day. Yeah, I have an interesting connection with dogs. I don't think I'm unique in any way, but it certainly feels unique. I just the other day was out back in Cornish looking at the sunset with Junior, and it's the end of the day, and I was looking at him and I was thinking to myself, I love this dog so much. And then I thought, is something wrong with me? Like, can you love a dog too much? I had that thought, like, wow, I really love this dog. And I loved our dog Penny we had for many years. And Penny is, throughout all of the first two books I did with Steve, Wealth of Pigeons and Number One is Walking. Penny's in there. So yeah, there's a deep connection to the dogs, and I love cats. I'm just I'm a fan of animals in general. I think I like animals better than people. I hate to say that because I don't want to alienate anybody, but yeah.
Well, there's something about the way, especially I feel dogs love so just completely. That
Yeah.
is amazing, and if you are lucky enough to have that with a dog, then you
Yeah.
feel like, oh, I'm better for my relationship with this dog. At least I have felt that way.
Totally. Yeah. They make you a more compassionate,
Mhm.
patient, self-reflective, empathetic person. So
Yeah. We had another thought about Junior. As your dog Junior grows older and wiser, do you have any concern at all that he will be seeking compensation for inspiring so much of your recent material and using his name and image so publicly?
I'm not too worried about it, but he wouldn't do that to me. It's just not. It's not in him. I mean, that would really be biting the hand that feeds you. So I don't know.
Yeah.
But he does. I just did a full spread for a magazine called it's a ski magazine called Mountain Gazette. It's been around for a long time, but I did a full double page spread comic strip kind of introducing Junior. And yeah, it was hard, man. My wife warned me, she said, puppies are hard. You're going to be up at night. Because when I first met my wife, Penny was already a year old. So Sophie, my wife, did most of the puppy heavy lifting, if you will. So when Junior came around about, I guess, 5 months ago, it was hard. I did not get a lot of sleep. He was crazy, but he's mellowed out actually quite a bit. And he's literally my best friend. So I love him so much.
Any thought with today's social media of having possibly Junior be a dog influencer?
No. He's on my Instagram a lot. I mean, I like Instagram. I'm kind of fond of that platform. I'm on it about 45 minutes a day, and I post, and I kind of curate my post. I take the time to do it. But having him have his own, fan page, nah, I'm not. That's more time. We'd rather be out hiking in the woods trying to avoid the ticks. So
It's good to keep it real.
yeah.
And I think you've addressed this a little bit, but how has an animal companion changed the way that you work and create?
Well, he's fused into my work. I mean, it's almost it's very difficult for me to not draw a dog. And Penny's the main reason for that. I mean, that's not necessarily true. Now that I'm thinking about it, because Bailey was a book, and I think Penny was around when I did Bailey. I believe she was, yes. I'm not sure, because I didn't have a dog when I started working for the New Yorker. When I started doing cartoons for that magazine, I didn't have a dog or a cat or any pet. But if you look back at my early cartoons, which were kind of big, broad watercolors, and there's one in particular that has a dog in a suburban doghouse, and his owner is there talking to a neighbor, and there's a fence between the neighbors, and the dog has a really long awning in front of the dog's front door, and the dog is kind of depressed, and the owner says he's having a difficult time letting go of the Upper West Side. So clearly they've relocated from Manhattan to suburbs. But so there's a good example of me, putting a dog in a cartoon before I even had dogs. So it must have been some kind of unconscious draw. I really don't know. It's a good question. Maybe I'm a dog.
Now, this is not meant to be like a segue right from the dog talk and working with dogs, but what was it like working with Steve Martin? Number one
Well,
is
he's a dog lover
walking.
too. He and his wife and his daughter, they just got a wonderful little God, what's the breed of the dog? I forget, but it's a super cute puppy, and his name is Sunny. He had a dog, Roger, for many, many years. When he writes about that, I believe, in his memoir. I'm pretty sure it's in Born Standing Up. I want to say the chapter is called The Roger Years. I'm not sure about that, but I've read his essay on Roger, and it's absolutely brilliant. And I cried. I mean, I read it and I was really moved by it. So we both share an affinity for dogs, and working with him, for him. He works for me too. Who am I kidding? We just did a cartoon last night. I sent him a drawing of oh man, I should show it to you. I kind of want to show it to you because we literally just did. Can I do that?
That'd be great.
I'm going to do that because there's a couple here. I'm going to show you a couple, and I hope this doesn't get me in trouble with my editor. But all right, so I don't know if you're going to think this is funny, but we thought this was funny. It's got a guy in a rowboat, and if you can see that, he's rowing with his dog, and he's singing with a hip hop, the hippie hip to the hippie, the hip hip a hop. You don't stop the rockin' to the bang bang boogie. It's like, so actually, Marty Short gave a little bit of help on that one too. So that was like a collaborative thing. But yeah, right now Steve's doing Only Murders in the Building, and I'm just sending him drawings, and every now and again he'll send me an idea for a cartoon. I always check in with him. I'm like, hey, if you're too busy for this, just. But he's a worker. So, and he's great. He's completely easy to work with. And early on, he made it clear he didn't really have an ego so much when it comes to me rejecting something that perhaps wasn't suitable for the format of a cartoon, because it's a new medium for him. So, it was then. But he's great, and his knowledge of art really took me off guard in a great way. He's very perceptive. He's been collecting for many years, since the 70s, and he can articulate things in my drawings that really very few people have done in over the years. The water will remind him of a Winslow Homer painting, or he'll even bring up an obscure printmaker, Martin Lewis, who's not that obscure, but anyway, he's great. I have no complaints about working with him yet.
Well, that was really interesting because you captured like a different kind of conversation, to me at least, because it's not just a collaboration that's taking place in one setting, but you're having a conversation with a visual to a verbal to a, and that's really a neat kind of give and take. I'm not aware of other pairs like that, and maybe there are many, but I haven't heard of how that dynamic can work.
Yeah.
And you think like that's a Laurel and Hardy, like, but each is in a different house, and one's calling out one line and one's like showing the photo, the drawing, or the other, and like, no, it's what kind of time delay is there in that joke?
Yeah, well, we've had that too with a couple times, but it's very unique even to me. And I've collaborated. I've never been one of those cartoonists that will only do my own ideas. I just don't care. If it's funny and someone wants me to draw something funny, happy to do it. So, but there had been time delays where he was on a boat going somewhere, vacation or something, and he sent me something, and his response was, oh man, he sent me a response basically saying, the Wi-Fi is really bad here on the boat, and I can't read this, but his response sounded like a caption. It's hard to explain, but and that's the way cartooning goes sometimes. Sometimes someone will say something, and what they're saying feels, it's almost like music. It feels like a caption. There's a rhythm to it. There's something going on there. And that we ended up using what he said. I think in the first book, it has Neptune underwater. And he says, the Wi-Fi is not very good times. So it's a very unique, interesting, kind of rewarding give and take.
Yeah, that's great. We're wondering, like, do you ever disagree with Steve in terms of what's funny when you're illustrating his memories specifically? And in that case, who wins or gets the last laugh on that panel?
Well, in number one is walking. I'm just keeping an eye on Junior. Oh, he's sleeping by the door. I'll get you later. In number one is walking. That was his memoir. So, I mean, there are cartoons in that book, but he wrote everything there. I mean, I would suggest the nice thing about you answer your question is there's no real winning. One of us will lean into the funny. You know, if something is, we just agree this is better. I don't really, maybe 3 or 4 times in the past, I don't know how many years we've been working at 4 or 5 years, I don't know, 4 years, have we sort of disagreed, and then what happens is we just put it away. It's the cartoon we just don't do it.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't, we don't get mad at each other. I don't think he does.
No, that makes sense. So if it doesn't speak to both of you, if it doesn't work for both of you, it doesn't feel like it works or something.
Yeah, and we'll both capitulate. He'll like I said, I mean, there's oftentimes he'll say you're right, or he'll say I'll say better, and I'll say the same thing to him. And because it's we come from it, we come to this we're different people, and I respect Steve's I respect his wisdom, his humor wisdom. And maybe early on I wasn't sure, but lately I kind of defer to the guy because he's Steve Martin. And he's when I do defer to him and say to myself, well, this is Steve Martin. And then I'll show it to someone else because I'm not sure if it's funny. They usually say, that's funny. Or they'll say, that's really cute. And I love cute. So, I don't know.
Are there any other comedians you would consider working with? Not plugging Martin Short here, but you mentioned him earlier, and he is pretty funny. He is pretty cute.
He's great. He's great. I mean, God, comedians, what a hard gig that is, man. It's such a hard thing. Nah, I like Steve. He's a nice guy, and he's it's too much work. I don't have any friends. I got a dog and Steve Martin and a wife and some children. I don't really want anything else. I'm not lazy. I'm just not. My ambition has just not that ambitious anymore. It's good. It's a good thing.
Yeah. I think sometimes there's you can travel wide or you can travel deep,
Yeah.
and it's like they're both great
Yeah.
journeys.
Yeah. That's great. That's
Yeah.
Thank you for that, putting that better than I was able to.
Now, this is something that I read about you that was really fascinating. Maddie has her own thing that she thought was super fascinating. Then we were kind of dueling with which was more fascinating to people that have literary backgrounds. So you probably kind of know where this is headed.
Mm.
But for me, it was you have a varied and extensive collection of Garth Williams, which I was like, whoa, because since I was a child, I have been so captivated by Garth Williams' work. as an illustrator with the Little House on the Prairie series,
Mhm.
with Charlotte's Web.
Mhm.
Just like those pictures were so firmly etched in my mind
Mhm.
at like beautiful entrances and openings to those stories.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, I'm a collector like Steve. He's an art collector. He's been a collector for me. But I too, I've been collecting art, comic art, and children's book art for like 30 years, I guess. Um, and the first piece I bought was a page from Charlotte's Web that was at auction. And Garth Williams, was the consummate drawer. He was just so good. And you're right, those spot illustrations, Charlotte's Web is a perfect book.
Mhm.
I was recently on Instagram, and someone was talking about the film Office Space. I don't know if you've ever seen this, but Office Space is a perfect comedy. It's just perfect. And Charlotte's Web is a perfect book. It's so profound and moving and just wonderfully written and illustrated. And Garth Williams, yeah, Stuart Little, they're just incredible. And he was so prolific. I mean, come on. Did he do anything else? It's like, who cut the lawn? It's like drawing. But I initially bought a page from Charlotte's Web. I bid on that. Then I bought 22 what are called inspirational sketches for Charlotte that he did for studies and ink drawings of Charlotte. And yeah, those are all in a vault in New Hampshire, and they're a couple guards, little farmers, and they have tasers, so stay away from us.
okay.
Yeah, he was amazing, and it's funny that one page from Charlotte's Web. It's the page of Wilbur crying and going by the fence where the goat is telling Wilbur his fate. And there's the cross hatching in that is so good and so simple, yet I walk by that every day because it's where I come downstairs, and I pretty much look at it every day, and it makes me happy.
Yeah. I remember being a little girl and feeling like I could scratch Wilbur. Like I could, like this.
Oh yeah,
I
the
really
texture.
felt like, yeah.
Yeah.
It felt so real. He felt so real. Yeah, amazing illustrator.
Mhm.
Speaking of creativity and creative lives, if there were cautionary tales associated with making the brave choice of pursuing a creative life, what might they be from you? Or do you have more encouragement to impart? Caution or encouragement, or both?
Well, the cautionary tale advice would be: do not get into it to make money.
Mhm.
If you are someone who is drawn to make pictures or art or write music, just keep doing it. It's not really all there is. Just keep doing it and keep pushing yourself. And it's always been like the talent will not talent, but the hard work will rise. It'll rise up. I mean, yeah, you can't get into this. I mean, even young people asking me when I had an agent, they're like, "Oh, I want to get an agent." I'm like, "You don't need an agent. Just keep drawing." I didn't make a living. I was waiting tables till I was 33. I didn't start making a decent living, and I didn't have health insurance till I was 35. All those years from 8 to 35, I was in the restaurant business, and I make a phenomenal marinara sauce. But yeah, don't just keep doing it because you love it. I say this often. It's all process. You must love your process. The other thing I say is mistakes are, this isn't new, but your mistakes are, little kids. I used to go to elementary schools and tell little kids, don't get, try not to get upset with yourself if you make a mistake, because when you make that mistake, the odds are you're not going to make it again. And then to further that, like your mistakes, you want to make mistakes because you want to get those out. You want to air them out so you don't repeat them. I hope that covers part of it, but yeah.
No, I think it does.
And don't work from photographs, please. I see a lot of stuff on Instagram of people working from photographs. I think there's a precedent there where back in the day, young artists would they would copy old etchings. And that was part of their training. But the other part of the training, the more prominent part of their training, was working from life, drawing people outside, standing in front of an oak tree and drawing the oak tree. Continue to do that. Try to understand the oak tree. Try to break it down. Understand that the limbs taper as they move away from the base of the tree. Learn Plato's theory of forms.
I'm not sure if I'm going to get all that, but maybe some of it. I draw
Get
quite
the
a
Plato
lot.
part.
I was recently drawing my very own street because it looks down into, I live in another coastal community, but it looks down also into the water. And the sunset was incredible. So I took a photo, of course, because it was a gorgeous sunset. No
Sure.
photo ever captures what a sunset looks like ever. There's no way of capturing it.
Exactly.
But I tried to draw this particular scene, which I know so well. It's my street. And I drew it, and the lines were so straight that it was dead. It was just like a dead picture.
Yeah.
And then I had to put that photo away, but I had looked at it enough and then just draw without looking at it. So that I got the curve of the street and the opening of the sky. And it's interesting how you can try to be so technically correct when you're looking at a picture that you're seeing just the math of it and not what the essence of it is or something.
Exactly. And there is a way to, part of the training is you can work, that's what I always say, you can work from life first, then you can work from your photographs because you have that experience and you're able to look into the photograph and see the math and see the artificiality in some ways of that. And you can bring your life experience, that life drawing experience into the photograph. Some people do it, some people don't do it. But what you just explained about the landscape is completely true. And the thing about this is one of the reasons I collect 19th century landscape painting is just what you said, because they were so good at capturing aspects of the light during the times of the day. I can't afford some of these painters, but I look for that in oil paintings a lot. It's very difficult to do. I can't do it.
Yeah. A little bit of this was addressed already too. You've mentioned in other interviews your business sense being instrumental in your success along with your talent and work ethic. Well, this part was mentioned. What advice would you give a young cartoonist just beginning their career? But you were saying just don't be thinking about the career so much as thinking about the process.
Yeah. When I was in art school, and one of the reasons I left the art school, my parents they met in art school, so I was raised by artists. But they tried in art school, and they still do, I believe, to teach you a style, So by the time you're 21 and you leave art school, you're supposed to have your style, the look of your work. And that almost never happens. I didn't have a style until I was in my late 30s. My cartoons started to look like, oh, this is my look. This is happening. Don't rush it. Take your time. Again, I go back to process. It's as long as you're putting your time into the process diligently with the desire to become the best storyteller you could possibly be. That's all you can do. That's, and keep waiting tables. Bartending's a great gig, man. I miss bartending.
Well, when you work with the public, you learn a lot about humanity, and that can inform really any kind of art or writing or anything, I think.
Absolutely. Yes, that's completely true.
We did have a couple of questions, possibly from another staff person, about JD Salinger.
Who?
JD Salinger?
Oh,
I
right.
don't know.
Sure.
And some question about, have you ever seen his ghost?
No. But I believe in ghosts, and I love the home that I live in, which was his former home. And do I believe that there's some presence in the house? I believe that in every house. It's not specific to Jerry. That's, people call him Jerry in Cornish, Jerry's house. So yeah, I mean, in this house, this house I'm in right now in Burlington, Vermont, which I own with my wife, was owned by a former Red Sox pitcher in like 1910. I forget his name, but that probably his essence in some ways is probably here. So, but no, I haven't seen Jerry. No.
Well, he was reclusive even in life, so.
He was reclusive, and I was just, there is one thing that I just written a piece about, this little essay that I may include in kind of a memoir thing I'm writing, but there is something about Cornish, New Hampshire that reclusive is not the right word. I don't think reclusive is the right word. I think enjoying like really coveting your privacy. And it's so beautiful there. It is absolutely beautiful there. I wake up every day, even when it's snowing, even with the ticks, but I wake up every day and look out my window at Mount Mansfield on the other side of the Connecticut River. And I just say, wow, I'm living in a Maxfield Parrish painting. He lived in Cornish. It is God's country. It is so beautiful and inspiring to me. And you throw the dog in. Come on. Salinger. Maple syrup.
Yep. What more could you want?
Better Wi-Fi. Seriously.
Well, I'm going to hand a few potential questions or chat, because I know Maddie's been kind of fielding that end of it for the next part. So she'll let us know what people have been asking about or thinking about.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Sarah. Thank you so much, Harry, so far. Yeah,
Thanks,
so
Sarah.
one of the things that people want to know is, were you starstruck when you were first working with Steve Martin? And what was that first interaction like when you guys first started working together?
I think we first emailed back and forth, and then we had lunch in the city. My wife, Sophie, and I went down and had a nice lunch with Steve and his wife, Anne, which was great. I was a little starstruck, I grew up loving Steve Martin. Very important comedic figure for me as a young kid, 12. I watched SNL. I love Belushi, Aykroyd, all of it. And Steve his comedy was particularly just different. It was unlike anything I've seen before. So when I met him, I was a little nervous. Of course I was nervous, but it went fine. It was a good lunch. And there was a time at the end of the lunch, we were getting ready to go, and we were talking about a cartoon idea, and he and Sophie were back and forth on it was a Grim Reaper. I think it was a Grim Reaper cartoon. And then I looked up at Steve, and he was telling me the caption he thought would work. And Steve's really quick on it. He's really fast. He like will just say, no, how about this? I got it. And so he did a couple, and then he did it again, and then he said it, and a big smile formed on his face because he knew it was funny, and I knew it was funny. And seeing that I mean, I've worked with him for a while, but that I will never forget. Because seeing Steve Martin smile like that was cool. That was very cool.
Awesome.
But no, after that, it was like, let's get to work.
Yeah. You both like to work, it sounds like.
Yeah, it's true. I like to draw.
I did have another question from someone, and you might not be able to reveal this even if it was true, but is there any chance that you would get to do a sort of guest spot on Only Murderers in the Building? Don't spit out your Manhattan.
Funny you should mention that. In the upcoming show, there is a police sketch artist, and yours truly will be in the episode.
Wait, no, really?
Nah, I made that up. Sorry. But that
That's
would be
cool.
That would be fun. That would be fun. I'm just so impressed that show is like, it's doing great. I mean, Paul Rudd and Meryl Streep on. But no, I don't really want to be on TV so much. Doing The View, when we had to do The View for promotion, I almost had a heart attack. It was really a lot for me. All of that, it's just too much. My senses were overwhelmed. Steve does that. He's really good at that. So.
Very nice. We had someone else ask, where do you get the sort of inspiration? You do a lot of comics that are these sort of very awkward dates. Well, we want to know, were you on these dates, or was it just all that time in the industry? Like, are these things that are just coming up in your brain, or are these real awkward dates that you're seeing play out in real life?
Awkward dates. God, I've done so many dog cartoons. I'm forgetting the awkward date phase of my career. Well, relationships have always been, great. It's great fodder. So, yeah, there was one I did that had a couple, maybe they were married or a couple. And the guy is saying to the woman, listen, all I did was I went to Vegas. We took some ecstasy. I slept with a couple girls. I think there was a guy, blah, blah, blah. I did this, but I swear that's all I did. And that's kind of like the punchline was like, it's all I did. And and there have been a lot of them. I don't think I do many of them anymore. Yeah, I moved away from them. It was just a phase of my life. I've been engaged 4 times. So I have spent more money on engagement rings than I have on student loans. So yeah, that's your life is going to come out. I mean, that's the other thing I tell young people. It's like, you have to kind of live a life and have life experience to draw on. That wasn't a pun, it just happened. But you have to have life experience to come up with your ideas. So yeah, I mean, I've gone on a lot of dates, I think so, and a lot of relationships that didn't really work out. So there's a lot there.
Gotcha.
Do I have to pay you for this? I feel like I'm in therapy.
No, absolutely not. We're librarians. This is free. With someone else wanted to ask, who are some of your other sort of favorite artists or people who sort of inspired you? And I know that this is a long list, so if you want to just sort of pinpoint a few or limit it down to like illustrators, however you want to answer this question. And this is a big one.
Yeah, there are so many, and it's not just limited to two-dimensional art. I mean, I'm inspired by great filmmakers, thanks to my dad. I would say Andrew Wyeth. I had a chance to meet Andrew Wyeth and spend a few hours with him when he was alive, and his wife, Betsy. Andrew Wyeth's was and continues to be a very big influence on me because I think he was kind of misunderstood to a certain extent. I think his work is really deep, and he had a deep connection to, like I do to Cornish, he had that very deep connection to Maine and Chadsford, Pennsylvania. And it's all there in his work. And he's such a pure artist, in my opinion. His dad, N.C. Wyeth, was a big influence on me. Comic book people, Charles Schulz, massive influence on me. Just creating all those characters and the depth of the characters. Charlie Brown was depressed. Lucy had a moonlighting gig as a psychoanalyst. Schroeder played the classical piano. You name it. I mean, it was a deep comic strip. No adults, and they dealt with some pretty tough stuff in that. But it was so accessible to me as a kid. Plus, it was incredibly drawn. If you look at an original Charles Schulz strip, and you see the way he draws Charlie Brown's head, the shape of that circle, it's perfect. It's a perfect circle. Do you have any idea how hard that is to do? It's really, really, really hard to do it every single day for 60 years. Are you high? Very hard. And there are many, many others, Charles Adams and countless others.
So speaking of sort of that having to deliver this perfect circle, someone else wanted to know, how did you handle the pressure of having to deliver on a comic strip deadlines weekly?
Well, just to be clear, I do a single panel gag cartoon, which is, I can show you another one. You might like this one. Okay. It's God, and he's reaching down, and Noah is handing him a dish, and Noah says to God, "It's unicorn. Let me know what you think." So doing a comic strip is it's more work. It's 1, 2, 3, 4 panels, and then on Sundays you have to do a Sunday full, like Peanuts did. Years ago, it was more difficult for me to do it daily. The pressure was there. It's gone now. It's not there anymore. There's maybe it's 5% pressure. Last night I drew 3 cartoons. I just will draw a tree, and I'll look at the tree and then have a dog there, and I'll add to it. So it's a really organic process for me. I don't sit there and think, oh, you got to think of some funny situation thing. I just start drawing. And it's all in this little moleskin thing here. And you can see these are, I don't know if you can see this, but there's a cartoon right there. There's this drawing. I don't have anything for it, but it's a man, and he's just dressing his little dog in a little like Laura Ingalls Wilder dress. Now, I don't have a caption for that, but I could send that to Steve and he'll knock it out of the park. There's another one. There's another one for my journal. It's got a guy, and he's going out to, for the night with his wife, and he's telling the cat and the dog, "You guys know the rules." Now, I don't have the rest of that, but again, it's just keeping this and drawing it. So, yeah, did that answer your question?
I think so. And enjoying the process.
Yeah, I keep going. It's a process. So if you stay true to your process, I don't know. I feel like if you keep on that, at a certain point in your career, the idea is that they'll just come automatically. They'll just happen.
So now that you're sort of you've done the column that you had to do and deliver something daily, what was your first big break?
Well, my first big break was the first cover I did for the New Yorker. I would think that was a big break. It was late 97. It was a New Year's Eve cover for 98. That's when Tina Brown was the editor of the magazine. And I didn't realize how big the New Yorker was at the time. I just was like, it's a magazine, and I liked it as a kid when it came to our house, and my mom read it. I loved the Charles Addams cartoons. But then things happened. It wasn't long after that cover appeared that I was able to start paying off my student loan debt. I literally, my entire income shifted. Yeah, I didn't get it at all. And I didn't care. I really didn't. I was like, this is, oh, great. The New Yorker likes me. And that's what you want. You want people to like you. That's why when you get into humor, you're like, you want people to laugh at you. But it was a $4,000 paycheck for me. You know, that was a lot of money. It still is a lot of money, to be honest with you. But this was 1997, and I really needed that money. And then somebody bought the artwork for another $4,000. So that was almost $10,000 I made for that one watercolor. That took me an hour. No, it didn't actually. It took me a night. But you see where I'm going. It's like that kind of cachet, that magazine having that kind of cachet. I'd never experienced that before. And it really helped me. I was ready to declare bankruptcy. I mean, it really was. I was in debt. So that would be a big break.
Awesome. We have someone from Brazil who wanted to know that, you know, most of your work is done with pencil and black pen. And why is that sort of your preferred, or is it? Is there actually a medium that you enjoy more, but this is just sort of what you go with? Why the black pen?
Yeah, well, having parents go to art school, I was able to paint with oils and acrylics and fairly proficiently actually in gouache. And I love watercolor. I'm a huge watercolor fan, and I'm pretty good at watercolor. But the graphite and the ink, there's a sensual quality to the way that the ink hits my paper. And I'll show you the paper. Again, here's the paper. Now, I worship this paper. It's perfect for me. And some people will go through, this is just something that happens as an artist. You go through this experience of making art. And at a certain point, you'll find a pen, this Mont Blanc pen, this Meiserstuck pen, which is probably worth $1,000. I've had this pen for a decade, and I'll probably have it until I die. And even if it breaks, I can send it to them and they'll repair it. And I'll probably, just because I'm saying this, they'll probably give me another one. But you find the tools that suit you. And I have found that ink, a rapidograph, simple Koh-i-Noor rapidograph pen, and I've cleaned these regularly. I hate waste. I hate to waste anything. I have Ziploc bags from 1994. I still use. So, but
keeping them out of the waste stream.
Yeah, exactly. But the way the graphite hits the toothiness of that paper is just, it's perfect. I'm able to get the right modulation in all the drawings. I've never had any trouble. The only trouble I experience with this paper and the graphite and the ink is when it's really humid. Because when it's humid, the paper gets slightly damp. Right now it's perfect because it's really dry. It's like perfect right now. But yeah, graphite and I'm also a drawer. I love drawings. I collect drawings. I admire drawings. So yeah. Paintings is too much work.
Leading from there, someone else wanted to ask, how did Mad Magazine influence your humor and art? Would
Oh, I
you
love
say that
Mad
it had
Magazine.
an influence? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Mad Magazine, I worked with Art Spiegelman and his wife, Francoise Mouly at the New Yorker. They helped me. Actually, Art and Francoise both guided me through Luke on the Loose. I mean, that book was, I laid that entire book out in Art's studio on Green Street in the Village. But Art was obviously a friend of Harvey Kurtzman and some of the early Mad Magazine greats. And we just lost Al Jaffe a couple days ago, who was the fold-in king and just great. So, but for me, it was always Mad Magazine. My biggest influence from that magazine was Will Elder, Elder, Bill Elder. And he was notorious for putting sight gags in the background of the stories. Like they didn't really interfere with the narrative, but they were back there. And so you could read a kind of Sherlock Holmes parody or a Hogan's Heroes parody. Actually, Hogan's Heroes was Wally Wood, so scratch that. But Bill Elder would add these like little sight gags. So the more times you read this parody, you would discover these little gems, what Elder called chicken fat, which is just kind of gross little thing, but that's what he called it. But
Just a little extra.
Yeah, and Mort Drucker. I own the Marathon Man parody that Mort Drucker did for Mad Magazine in, I think, 1977. And it is exquisite. Mort Drucker was a master. He was an absolute, that guy could draw anything. And it was always good. I can go on. I mean, I could literally sit here and talk about Mort Drucker for hours. The guy was just incredible. And I've seen drawings by Picasso, Seurat. I've seen drawings, Proudhon, you name it, in museums all over the world. Drucker, he's right up there with those guys.
So we had someone else wanted to ask, they heard that you do work with kids in schools, and they wanted to know more about that, and if that is still something that you're doing and sort of what that program is.
I'm glad you asked that. I'm glad they asked that, I should say, because I did a lot of that, and I traveled all over the world. I'd been to Russia, Dubai, and Singapore, and many other places, and I love doing it. And I've been all over this country doing it, and I love talking to kids about it, and I love kids. I have a genuine, deep affection for children, the way I do for Junior. But because I'm on Instagram, and a lot of the things that I post on Instagram are provocative, and some may find offensive, I'm not sure that that part of my career is going to work moving forward. It's a shame. I wish it weren't the case, and it shouldn't be the case, because there are many other children's book greats, Tommy Unger, Maurice Sendak. I'm sure Garth Williams had some skeletons in his closet. He probably drank. I don't know. But yeah, I think we live in a time now where it's tricky. It's, I don't think there's anything on my Instagram account that would scare a parent. Well, maybe, who knows? I don't even know anymore. And the fact is, I don't care. I just miss the opportunity to talk to kids. So if you're a school out there and you're not afraid of me, yeah, get in touch. And it's something I love to do. And I'm good at it. I have a rapport with kids. So
awesome. So we are getting to sort of the last 5 minutes here, and I don't know about anybody else, but I would really love to see Junior if there's any way that we can get him.
Yeah. Hold on one sec. I'll be right back. J-Man. George, a good boy. He's a good boy, aren't he? Oh, he's a good boy. He's getting big. He's a big boy. This is Junior. Oh, he was sleeping.
Oh my
Such a
God.
good boy. Look at everybody. He's a good boy. There he is.
Oh my God.
He's so beautiful, right? He's the
He's
Timothy
so
Chalamet of
beautiful.
dogs.
Look at that tail in the corner.
Yeah, look at his tail, right? Here it is. He's like, oh,
The chat is now blowing up with Junior.
he's the best. He's a good boy. Baby want a little bit of daddy's Manhattan? No.
No. That's for you.
He's a great dog.
So I think we had one good question, and I thought it would just be really great to end on if we could do that. Well, Junior is here regaling us. If you could have any cartoon on your tombstone, what would it be?
Wow.
That's a hard one, and I hope you don't have to actually figure it out anytime
I
soon.
don't think I would want a cartoon. Oh, well, there is one that just popped into my head. Maybe. This is a maybe. There's Peter Arno is one of the great New Yorker cartoonists. And he wrote the caption, "Back to the drawing board." You can Google that cartoon and look up the art that went with that. But that's not bad if I were to pick one. Maybe that Peter Arno cartoon. I think it says okay back or something. I think it just says back to the drawing board. Maybe. I'm gonna get into, Tombstone.
Weren't expecting that one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, this is awesome. Thank you so much for talking with us and for being here.
This was
It's
really
been
fun.
absolutely fabulous.
Yeah, it was super fun. And thanks for reminding, to get him out here, because I would have forgotten that. I'm glad he's
In
here.
most of our meetings, we have a rule that if your cat or dog interrupts the meeting, you have to stop and introduce them to the group.
Yeah. Well, thank you. And God bless libraries and librarians.
Thank you so much, Harry. It was just a pleasure. And Junior, great to meet you.
Thank you. All right. Thank you so much.